Okay, so we're going to start section 1.3. This section is going to be broken up into a lot of different videos. So they're going to be shorter, but you're going to have more of them to watch. The idea behind that is that if you're struggling with just, for example, this video is going to be on composite functions, then you can go back and just specifically watch the composite functions video. So we're going to talk about composite functions. Okay, first thing you might be asking yourself, if you want to reference in your book, I'm looking at page 165. Okay, a composite function, you are combining two functions to form another. Okay, so that is what we do when we are doing composite function. Okay, so the composition of the function f with the function g. So we're going to compose f and g that is given by, so this is just some notation. It looks like this, f, and then this open circle composed with g of x, and that's just the notation that we use. It also looks like this, f of g of x. Okay, so let's look at an example. Okay, so we're going to start, and for all of my examples, I'm going to have f be the function 2x minus 3, and g of x is going to be the function the opposite of x squared plus 1. And I want you to really think about this function, because this, you square your number and then you take the opposite of it. So we need to be really careful with that function, okay? So first thing I want to do is I want to find all of these things, and I have quite a few examples for you. So I want to find f composed with g of 3, and I'm going to write x of 3. So what does that really mean? That means I'm doing f of g of 3. And I keep writing x, I'm sorry you guys, of 3. So what that means is I start from the inside when I'm composing a function and I work my way out. So I need to look at g of 3. So I'm going to plug 3 into this. G of 3 equals negative 3 squared plus 1. Notice the negatives on the outside because that's a opposite of x squared. If you wanted 3 squared, you'd have parentheses around that. So that should be negative 8. Now that's not my answer because all I've done is evaluate this first part, g of 3. Now I need to do f of negative 8. And that would be 2 times negative 8 minus 3. So my final answer would be 19, negative 19. Okay, on this next one, maybe pause and try it before I go through it. Now we're going to do g of f of negative 2. So now might be a good time for you to pause and try this one. So here, I'm really doing g of f of negative 2. So I am really starting this time on the inside with f of negative 2. So I'm going to take negative 2 and put it into my equation for f. So there I would have -7. Now I've found what f of -2 is. Now I need to do g of -7. Okay, don't forget this negative out front. So -7 squared is 49, then the negative, so we have -48. Okay, last one, and I really do want you to try and see if you could do this one. We're going to do f of 4. So really, we're doing f of 4. So looking at that notation, are you going to use your equation or your function g at all? You shouldn't. So pause and try it. So we start with f of 4. Should get 5 for f of 4. Then I'm going to use this answer, and this time I'm doing f of 5 because I did this and now I'm working my way out. So this should be 7. So that's how you compose a number. Now I can also compose two functions together. So I'm going to do both of these functions composed together. So we're still using the same f of x and g of x. I'm just going to write them again so you still have them. 2x minus 3 and -x squared plus 1. Okay, so the first thing we want to try is we are going to do, and this is letter D. I have one more example after this. G composed with f of x. So notice now I have an x. So I'm not going to replace my variable with anything. So here, this is the same as g of f of x. So what that means is I'm going to take f of x and I'm going to put that into g. Okay? So everywhere there is an x in g, I'm going to write f of x. So it looks like this, starting with g, so I have negative. Instead of x squared, it says to do f of x. So I'm going to replace that x with 2x minus 3 squared, because there's a squared in my g of x, then plus 1. Now it's just a matter of you simplifying. So I'm going to have to FOIL this out. And all I'm going to do from here down is simplify. So now might be a good time for you to pause the video and see if you can simplify. So all I'm doing is FOILing, and then I'm going to combine like terms. Now I just need to make sure that this negative gets distributed to my 3 terms in the parentheses. And then I need to combine like terms one more time. And there would be your answer of g composed with f of x. So I took f of x, and everywhere there was an x in my g function, I replaced it. So you can do this with variables as well, not just numbers. Okay, so last example, we are going to do f of g of x. So this is just like the previous example up above, except our order is different. So we're doing f of g of x. So now again might be a good time for you to pause the video and see if you can do this one still using f of x is equal to 2x minus 3 and g of x is equal to negative x squared. So this one I'm going to start with f of x, which is 2 times x, and instead of x, I'm now going to replace it with my g function, which is negative x squared plus 1, and then in f of x, I also have minus 3. And now it's just a matter of simplifying. So negative 2x squared plus 2, then minus 3. So my final answer for that one is minus 1. Negative 2x squared minus 1. So this video was just on composite functions, and we will talk about those in class tomorrow.